Next town over. Wind round a reservoir, drain dry, mud flat, slow down for Paonia. Apples are in season, transparent, Johnny, honey crisp. Eat hot Italian bread on stools. Peaches are past. Cafes close at 3 p.m., but bars open for the night. Jets are playing Patriots. It's America, all right. And my longer piece is called Pelts Above the Door. I'm camped off the side of an unnamed dirt road on a frigid, wind-blown ridge outside Enterprise, Oregon, over 1,000 miles from my Carbondale, Colorado home. I'm here to hear a wolf. The Amnaha wolf pack, which recently moved across the Oregon-Idaho border into Wallowa County, congregates down in the timber drainage below camp. So far, the only animal sign I've seen is cowshed. The howl rolls up the steep hillside, defying gravity, odds, and near extinction. My ears are instantly alert, straining for an echo, a reverberation. The sound is untainted and untamed. This is a comeback, an ecological victory. I'm euphoric. But at the same time, the wolf and I are natural enemies. I'm a cattle rancher, the wolf is a competitor, and it was my grandparents who helped hunt the wolves to extinction. I grew up moving cows, sorting, branding, and haying along my parents and grandparents on the same ranch where my mother was born. There are no wolves there anymore, but a moth-eaten wolf pelt hung nailed above the doors of my grandparents' house. My grandfather always liked to claim that it was the pelt of the last wolf shot in Colorado. Now the wolf's return could spell my own community's demise. The day after hearing the wolf howl, I had dinner with Wallowa County ranchers, Todd Nash, Eric Porter, and Luke Morgan. They looked like the men I grew up with. The Carhartt coats, the Levi jeans, the boots, and the cowboy's hat pulled down, shading their eyes. They're suspicious of my unfamiliar face until Eric realizes that he knows my dad from a cattlemen's association and that I may actually understand their point of view. Over the course of dinner, the cattlemen told me what the reintroduction of the wolf has meant for them. They stated in a familiar and reverent tone that wolves are a powerful predator, but a predator that is not compatible with ranching. Increased losses in cattle caused by wolves would make ranching economically impossible in Wallowa County. Wolves are not the only problem ranchers face, but they are the only one ranchers can dream and joke about shooting. Other challenges, such as market forces, changing diets, rising cost of fuel, the consolidation of the meatpacking industry, are more abstract and harder to pinpoint. Wolves are a great place to pump angry rhetoric. They are the traditional and tangible enemy. But now, under the Endangered Species Act, it is illegal for ranchers to haze or harm wolves, even to save cattle. The wolves' federal protection upsets ranchers, but the abundance of imported meat and the consolidation of the meatpacking industry should get them more riled up than wolves, as these changes cut more deeply into their paychecks than cattle lost to wolves. Apprehension builds in my gut as the Wallowa ranchers talk about wolves. I don't want these men to go broke and lose their ranches. Ranching is a community, a vanishing heritage, and most of all, a fierce attachment to the land. When a ranch is sold, the tragedy is not the loss of the iconic 501 Levi's and the battered Stetson, but the loss of the land. When I turned 4, my grandparents sold off a section of their ranch, the northern hayfields, to the smooth-talking developer. Even though our own family sold the ranch, for my mother, watching the development was like severing limbs. I accompanied my mom on her last visit to the ranch. Squatting quietly in the dry grass on the hayfield in a tiny patch of shade made by the car, I watched my mom say goodbye to a place I never really knew. She took a few photographs, but mainly she stared hungrily, her eyes skimming above the surface of the grass. Even then, I instinctively knew to remain quiet, because this field would only have one more crop. Nothing sinks roots through asphalt. When the construction was completed on the new development, ironically named River Valley Ranch, someone spray-painted the words, "Once a River Valley Ranch," on the fresh pine board fence. Just as the ranchers in Wallowa County blame wolves and yearn for loaded shotguns, the open board fence was the easiest target to vent frustrations. But spray painting a fence or shooting a wolf won't change the economics of ranching, won't convince the younger generation to continue, won't keep anyone from selling out. After spending a week in Wallowa County, my dad and I talk on the phone about wolves. We know they're coming to our home too, but we don't know what that means for us. I'm torn remembering the wolf's baleful howl between exhilaration and an impending sense of doom. No one taught me to love the wolves, but wolves embody many of the characteristics that I strive to attain. They're self-reliant, powerful, intelligent, loyal, and yet it is my heritage to exterminate them. Unfortunately, I cannot be split in two to solve this contradiction. These different parts of me are one, constantly ramming, turning, milling ball of emotion, passion, and resistance. The fact that I know what I love and that I have seen the consequences of losing land should enable me to fight for ways to make ranching with wolves viable. Searching for some resolution after Wallowa County, I travel across the Idaho border where I talk with Mike Stevens of Lava Lake Lamb. A devoted conservationist and wildlife advocate, Mike is also a rancher. He's been raising sheep in wolf country for 8 years. When wolves moved into his area, he met with wolf biologists and developed a new management plan. Now herders guard and pen the sheep at night and move them during the day. They use rubber bullets and cracker shells to drive off wolves. Although he's raising sheep, which are easier to herd than cattle, the point is, he's found a way to continue ranching with wolves. I'm terrified for myself, but filled with hesitant excitement for the wolves. I will adapt. Maybe that's the wolf side of me.